The Musician's Testament, Part 2. Now, in bold enlightenment, the casualty roster is faithfully displayed in retrospective top-of-the-pops broadcasts. So many just trapped by exhaustion, so many more by strobe-like fixation, but how many of their respectable equivalents are in straits essentially every bit as dire, but swishly disguised? Rank corruption percolating with infinite subtlety through the pinstripes, the laundered creases. The banal, the ugly, and the bizarre often attract just as much attention as does the presentable. Everyone knows that the charts are as capricious as fruit machines. Bristling macho strutting are vainly but honestly mirrored in flirtations with androgyny. Disparate polarized souls showing the common denominator of crumbling tower blocks and stale, seedy boarding school quadrangles. Where to locate and batten down the crude riffs, where to corral the wild, exploratory chromatics, 50 survivors bloated, greased and ebullient. Then all that yawning at old-time knees-ups drenched in 60s nostalgia. Rubbed vinyl straining to plummet to nothing, then centrifugally to reascend. Shades of busking in the old days, before it moved up market and got licensed. Furtively shivering, feeling on the periphery of crime, breath ever bated for the looming of a uniform round the corner, sigh of relief at the cast-off coin that once tipped the scales for me to buy a loaf of bread. Then close up the torn, perforated gunny sack. Squatting in crusading paranoia, inspiration counterpointed against dust and cigarette ends. If you're really talented and brilliant, it's a burden to have all that. It seems it's almost a fairy book thing, like love has to come and make the beast into a prince. John Cale said that. Rasping, laboured breaths of warning reticence heave in the background, inflating the skin of hypertension so that it stretches the crash barriers to a hair's breadth of bursting. Fear always gives an edge to any performance. A fragile fledgling fled in panic from the paparazzi, from the autograph hungry, and flipped the brittle coin of sycophantic derision. The fruit machine made a gratified grin. It knew it would always take more. Squeezings of the bent notes from beer-soaked rust-proof harmonicas wail forth, making ripples in jaws and microphones. Feedback constantly reverts to its spontaneity. Must be highly stimulating for those at the mixing desk. Reminds me of I Am a Lonesome Guitar Strangler. Smashing impulses of the Destruction in Art Symposium. Wrecked instruments defective from the workshop or written off against insurance. Contradictory viewpoints are important because they show the richness of a character. John Cale said that. There is a centrifugal force of the common stimulus, reaching to penury and glutted luxury, from the goad of being pushed to steel to the draconian magnet of having pampered access to all the destructive agents and their corresponding therapies. From cardboard and junk stall box to deluxe custom built, to break out of poverty and then go crashing right into it, to blow and to invest conjointly. Shared perspective of the dank cell and the chocolate box restored palace. Most of the hard thinking, the great utterers need their reference points of shallowness, whereon they can skate, fall and get bruised, periodically cracking their surfaces. In response to intensive research, most now accept that the greatest disasters can be the greatest catalysts. The roving cameras get everywhere, and all a celebrity's greatest catastrophes are revealed by the universal leveller. How does it all work out? The retainer fee, only forwarded to the ultimately desirable, is so abysmally pathetic in real terms. Those first exhibitionistic gestures before the mirrors, the desperate urge to break out of the dead-end rut, the followers' matching desperation for a brief respite from their interlinked ruts, blindly piling up detritus. Retro youth club shindigs with punctuating explosions, fanning out into binge-drinking desperation. The fabric of security is disintegrating all around us. How much security can the radiation zone of one powerful, destructive individual wreak? How many struggling souls truly live in conscious anticipation of posthumous idolatry? What are their inner feelings about what is rejected in temporal terms? There's a perpetual game of cat and mouse with the media greedy. Interchangeable roles, running away from them at every angle, chasing them around every corner. There's often a sense of an egg timer emptying, of ideas getting diluted. The relationship with mortality is ever ambiguous. Aspirants rush both away from it and into it.